What are some of the things that you've been seeing over the past 10 to 15 years that can help someone shorten their customer journey or their business journey rather, and
Mhm.
start to find a point where it makes sense? I know you've already done it for me, so I'm giving other people the opportunity to be able to get a chance to be able to take advantage of it the same way.
Yeah. So one of the things as a business owner,
Mm,
entrepreneur, you're not doing this alone. One, you weren't taught how to be a business owner. You were taught how to be an employee, right?
yes.
That's what you were taught. So we have to learn from other people's experiences because we weren't taught how to do this. And there are a lot of pitfalls that we fall into that we could avoid if we just simply have conversations with people who have walked this path before you. So no matter who that person is, typically is not someone that's in your family, especially especially in, our community is not someone
Mhm.
in our family. So then who is it? Who do you trust? So
Right.
I would start with those people who have fidelity for you,
Mm,
meaning that your lawyers, your bankers, your accountants, people like that who care for you with your money and legality. And you can start there by gaining wisdom from them. I know those are paid, but
yeah.
also they're very valuable and because they've seen so many different types of businesses and business owners, they can give you a lot of insight only if you ask questions, right? It's not something they will probably freely give, but if
Mm,
prompted, they will answer because sometimes people don't want to know all that information.
yeah.
Um, and then there's the community around you. Like, who are the other entrepreneurs that you actually admire? You see their walk, you see what they're doing, but you don't know the inside scoop, right?
Right.
So, starting those conversations, just having those conversations. If anybody approaches me to have a conversation like that, I will have the conversation with them because there are things that I have been through along my journey
Mm,
that can help you not make the same pitfalls. It really is easier to learn from somebody else's path than to go through it on your own. But you have to be vulnerable enough
mhm.
to ask, right? And a lot of times, what I see is that people just don't ask the question. Oh, I'm going to do it because making money is hard, but it does it have to be? Is the
Right.
question I ask. Does it have to be? I don't think it has to be. It doesn't have to be a hustle. It doesn't have to be hard. But if you choose for it to be that way, absolutely it will be. Right? So just open yourself up and ask the question to see where the deeper conversation may go. Because you will get a lot of insight, especially those who are really walking the path
Mhm.
and they are reaching back to pull up and to help someone else up. If you're asking them to do things for you, that's different.
Yes,
That's
it is.
consultative. That
Yes, it is.
eh, that there's an exchange right there, right? But if you're talking in general, just to get some insight on what a journey has been like,
Mhm.
or a certain situation has been like, so that you can avoid those pitfalls. So, what I've seen over the last 10 or 15 years is people just, especially because I'm on the money side, people are just afraid to be vulnerable enough because they don't want other people to know
Right.
that they're having a hard time. But let me tell you, I have seen it all. Like, literally all. People who I have thought were on the mountaintop were
Mhm.
drowning, but they make it seem like, and it looks like from socials, that everything is roses, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's
Uh,
what I've seen over the last 10 or 15 years.
There's so much to unpack in that. Right off the cuff, I'm just thinking about all the aesthetically pleasing social posts that
Mhm,
are out there where people are like, "Let me show you how I did this, and let me show you how I did that," and it's missing so much context.
mhm,
Someone that can say, "Well, I'll show you how to make 6K in a month," is
mhm,
missing the context of where your starting point has to be in
mhm,
order for them to be able to do that.
mhm.
There are the people that say those things and they say, "Well, I'm showing you how to be able to generate that much money," but they're not telling you how much of that you get to keep. So
True.
if
Mhm,
they're showing you how to make 6K and it costs you $5,500 to be able to generate it, then
exactly.
how much of that is actually profit at the end of the day?
Yes. Yes.
So that was one of the first things that stood out to me. The other thing that stood out to me is the thing that I probably run into the most, and that's where someone will come to you with their pie-eyed, just, bushy-tailed. They're very excited
Mhm,
about what they're doing, but they haven't necessarily locked in on the fact that there's a certain level of accountability and
mm,
responsibility on their end. I think
absolutely.
that's where the corporate mentality still hasn't
Mhm,
shifted over into the entrepreneurial mentality. On the corporate side, you can have all kind of great ideas and all the rest of that. You want to test them out. At the end of the day, if they don't go well, you still expect your check.
mhm.
You still expect
Exactly.
someone to come in and save the day, as opposed to on the entrepreneurial side. If someone reaches out to me, someone reaches out to you, someone reaches out to people in general, they have to, in a way, they have to have already started the process. They have to have put in the work, because that's when people are probably more willing to give away some of that information for free,
Mhm,
because they
absolutely.
see the effort that you put in, as
Mhm,
opposed to someone. And this is where I'll run into some people that say, "Oh, well, I'm thinking about doing this." Thinking about doing it, or you already started doing it?
exactly.
Because those are 2 different conversations. If you're thinking about doing it, then I have to change my conversation based on that. If you're
Mhm,
already doing it, then maybe I can fill in some of the missing pieces. But if you're
mhm.
at the point of just it being a concept or an idea, and you haven't actually built out a plan, or you're not in the opportunity phase of it where you've mapped everything out and now you just need someone to kind of fill in the blind spots,
Mhm,
that's where I think there's some confusion, because they'll say, "Oh, well, I don't like to ask people, because when you ask them, they don't wanna do this, they don't wanna do that." I think the disconnect in that is what people are asking of people, because I've had
yes.
some people come to me and say, "Well, here's what I wanna do, this, that, and the other." I actually had a young lady tell me, "I don't like black people." I'm like, "I don't understand, like, what are we doing here?" And her thing is, "Oh, well, you must not like your people, because I'm asking you to help me." And I said, what you're doing is you're coming to me with 20%, asking me to fill in the 80%,
Mhm,
and you don't wanna pay, you don't wanna do anything. I can't do that. What I
yes.
can do is, if you came to me with 80% and you asked me to fill in the 20%, that I'm technically still not supposed to be doing that, but that would be more
Exactly.
reasonable. And
Yes.
trying to explain that to her was I won't say trying, it was one of those things. Once she said that part, I was like, "Okay, we're having a different conversation. We're in different places. I'll explain it to you, but it's not going to be useful to you until you get to the next person, because clearly this is a lesson that you need to learn." So going back to us saying, there's some lessons that you have to learn firsthand and there's some that you
Mhm,
have to learn other ways. I'm thankful that I'm old school enough to know I was in the industries and I got my lessons when it's a lot harder to be able to get into these industries and get these lessons. So whenever someone gave something to me, it was so valuable and so cherished that I didn't wanna go back to them until I had done something with the information that they gave me.
mhm,
And that got me further and further into those conversations. They welcomed me back because they knew I was doing something with it.
mhm.
As opposed to these days where it's a little more entitled, where people feel like, "You know what? You're supposed to give me that information. Like, it's your obligation." And that's where I think accountability and responsibility have to kick back in. So my version is a little harsher. Yours is very flowers and candy. I appreciate that. I'm a little more like, yeah, I'm seeing it more on a regular basis, and it can be one of those things where, like, it's a red flag, and I try to explain what the red flags and green flags look like. So at least just where they're aware of what it looks like, and
Mhm.
that situational awareness can actually help them.